What is next for Suga Sean O Malley? So if by a slim chance you haven't heard yet, Sean O Malley is the new UFC bantamweight champion of the world, after finishing Aljo with a technical knockout in great fashion. The sequence was beautiful, and that right hand from Sean kinda reminded me of Conor McGregor against Jose Aldo. In fact, now that I think about it, quite a lot of things from that fight reminds me of Conor versus Jose, the hype of the fighter, an underdog going against someone who was dominating a division, and what is next for the newly crowned champ. Speaking of Conor, after his win against Jose, at featherweight, he took an unconventional route and decided to fight Diaz at welterweight in a money fight with a record pay-per-view at the time. What would Sean decide or want to do next? Considering everyone likes to say O'Malley has the potential to be the next face of the UFC, it makes sense that his next decision would need to be one that serves interest to the fans. Him as a fighter, and of course the company. However, you can't please everyone, so stay tuned. Today we'll be going through Sean O'Malley's options as newly strapped champ, and the best one out of them. The first option that Sean could take is a crossover to boxing for a money fight between either Ryan Garcia or Gervonta Davis. Sean has mentioned an interest in wanting to box these guys.
I also wouldn't mind knocking out Gervonta Davis, and I know people are going to go, oh, you want to be Conor. I'm telling you, that fight is going to happen. Me versus Gervonta would be fucking massive. T-Mobile, or here, fuck it.
And believes it's a possibility because he believes the UFC will be on board with it. Sean and Ryan even had a back and forth on Twitter after Sean's victory, with Ryan Garcia stating, if he wants it, then I'll complete that side quest. However, this seems like it would be the best option for Sean because he gets a huge payday, as well as great exposure. The UFC take a cut of the pay-per-view when it's cross-promotional. So if the fight sells, then they receive a nice cut, and their star within the company is even bigger. Although this would not necessarily benefit the fans, I feel as if for this potential fight, there would be a lot less hype than there was for Conor vs. Floyd. And even Dana was quite hesitant at first about the idea of doing a crossover. Now I know not every fight is gonna top the same Nimbits, or garner as much interest as a Conor vs. Floyd megafight, but it should at least garner a decent enough interest in both domains. Sean is not as big at the moment to generate a significant interest of these from both domains. So this would be the best option for Sean, a decent option for the UFC, but would not serve as best interest to the fans, who are ultimately the ones that are paying for the fighter's pay-per-view cut. The next option for O'Malley is running it back with Chito Vera. Sean was beating Chito pretty well throughout the fight and was undefeated at the time. But unfortunately for Sean, Chito hit him with a leg kick, which didn't seem damaging at first, but damaged Sean's nerve, which immobilized his mobility. Thus, this led to Chito seeing this to go aggressive and execute the finish. And that was all she wrote.
Oh! Huge elbow!
The story is perfect for this fight. Chito is ranked 3rd in the bantamweight division, and the two have even gone back and forth.
We f***ing go. I beat this again.
He's not funny, and he tries to be so ugly, dresses like an idiot, whoop his ass, make a lot of money, so I could.
This even has the backing of the UFC and the fans, and in all honesty, after much thought, I think this would be the best option for Sean next. You see, the next option I was going to allude to was fighting Merab. However, don't you think after Aljo's loss, a perfect way to get back into title contention is fighting the number 2 ranked fighter who beat former champ Peter Yan? Not to mention Aljo himself is a former champ and is ranked number 1. This script could not be any better. However, of course, people can always say Sean is ducking Merab, but after that finish in 292 against a fighter who was starting to get GOAT calls for his division, I think he can deserve having a more favorable fight. But what do you guys think? Do you think O'Malley should be fighting Merab next? Do you think it's better to build up the Chito fight? Or do you think O'Malley is delusional for talking about doing a crossover to boxing right now?